killing brush. I got him at gunpoint.
They're pulling them out.
911. Advise ready for camp.
Welcome to another episode of War Stories. I'm Tom.
And I'm Chuck.
We've got a good episode for you this week, I think. We love the stories. We love getting some details. Why don't you tell us about our guest this week, Chuck?
CJ. He's a corrections officer, or was a corrections officer. Now he's working at a local agency. 7 years between jail and patrol, and likes to shoot the shit. There you go.
That's good. This is our favorite part about the show. So, CJ, tell us a little bit about your background and how you ended up where you're at, just how you got into law enforcement and your kind of path to your current location.
So I guess it all kind of actually started as an accident. I went through and I was actually a school teacher for a couple years, and that not a great life choice. I commend all the people that can do it, but it was definitely not for me.
I would rather work in the jail than work at an elementary school.
Yeah.
You can beat the inmates.
Believe it or not,
jail.
it's the
You
same
can't
problems,
beat the
just older
inmates.
kids.
Right.
Exactly. Ended up at actually with my wife. We were at a wedding. One of the guys that were sitting at the table with us was a deputy at the time, saying, "Hey, they're hiring at the jail. If you're not liking teaching, come on over." Well, I guess long story short, ended up school on Tuesday, started in the jail on Thursday, and did about a year and a half in the jail. Cut out to the road for about 4 years at the county. Did about a year on the SWAT team, and then made a move over to our local jurisdiction for a little bit more pay, better time off, more time with the family, that kind of stuff.
You gave up SWAT?
I did. There's from, I guess, talking with my admin, there's a pretty good chance of me going back on the same team that I was actually on coming up this fall.
Just with a PD, the PD aspect of it.
Is it a regional team?
Yeah. So it's actually, yes. Yeah.
That's
regional
dope.
team, 3 county. Yeah.
So what ended up happening, and for bigger agencies like Chuck's, they may not know this, but there were some directives that came down about the amount of people you had to have on your team to actually field a real legitimate SWAT team and qualify for SWAT training, SWAT school, So there was some, because you'd end up like with a small department putting 4 guys in tactical gear and calling it a SWAT team. And so they ended up making some standardizations. This was probably about 18 years ago that they probably did this. And my understanding is from the guys I talked to, that created this need for these smaller departments to create regional teams. And it became, a couple of guys from this agency, a couple of guys from this agency, a couple of guys from the sheriff's department, a couple of guys from this, that, and so it sounds like that's what you when you say you're going to be rejoining your old team, you're still you're on a different department, but you will be going back to your old team.
Right. Yep. Yeah. And actually, our number 1 guy on the stack, he's not my sergeant. So it worked out pretty well. Yeah.
That's good.
But so it was a good team. There was about, I think, 34 when I got off. So they just split into 2 squads. So it was pretty good.
That's always good.
Well, that's good you're going back. That's awesome.
Yeah. Especially because I'm sure that was a bitter thing to leave. I mean, when you're on a team, that's one of the few things that you want to give up.
Yeah, anybody that tells you they get into this and it's not the adrenaline dump that they want, I think they're full of shit. Or everybody gets into this. Yeah, right. So, you get that chance to be on the team and it's like, okay, that's why I signed up, and that's what everybody strives for, at least. Right. A lot of my buddies say that.
Well, we talked about this on the show with veterans who, experience angst and anger and frustration and even, a measure of sadness and disappointment because they get into the military to go do military shit. And then, they never deploy for 4 years and they get out and they're like, man, and then they meet another veteran they're like, "Oh, where'd you deploy?" And they're like, I didn't. You know, you get into it to like let's fucking saddle up and go do some shit.
Yeah. It's at least that was always my reasoning.
Yeah. Imagine imagine training to ride a horse and training to carry a gun and then never getting to go jump on the horse and drive some cattle and shoot your gun. You know?
Yeah.
It'd suck.
Yeah, it'd be depressing.
Yeah. So.
But yeah, so I guess got into that. Transferred over. Like I said, it's a smaller agency now. The sheriff's office I was with, Northeast Ohio, we were about 350 people for the department. So it was a pretty large, I would say one of the top 10 in the state as far as size goes.
Size,
Yeah. The department I'm with now is 28 people, and that includes admin. So it's nice. You get to know every chief. Yeah. I was actually, he was on foot patrol yesterday.
There you go.
The chief was on a foot patrol.
Yeah, we had a fair in town, but yeah, he was full gear and came in and signed up for the extra detail himself.
Now, have you ever seen like I'm assuming you probably have like sergeant and then probably a captain and then the chief. There's probably no in between really because it's such a small department. Now, have you ever seen one of those captains or a chief for that matter ever get into it with someone like actually have to go hands on and they're like, let's go, saddle up. Yeah.
One of my first calls with the department, or it was a lieutenant, but he was coming back from lunch in his personal vehicle and put a call out over the radio. There was an unresponsive guy in the street, you know, and he's out of his truck and we're all hauling the mail down to go get the guy. And next thing you know, it's about a 6-person brawl in the middle of the street.
Oh shit.
And I mean,
our patrol lieutenant used to go looking for trouble. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's never.
Our patrol lieutenant was an old LAPD guy, and he would he'd be like, you know what, screw this office, and he'd jump in his, and he had a plane wrap, so he'd jump in his plane wrap in full uniform, and he'd go stir some shit up, and then the next thing you know, he'd be like, can you send me someone else?
Yeah. Oh, that's it.
Your lieutenant can handle business.
Yeah. He's in good shape.
Right. Because normally when you see on bigger agencies, as soon as they become like a lieutenant or, you know, captain or anything higher, they hang up their spurs and they're like, I'm done. You know,
you're a house mouse.
They're like, I'm done. Mm-hmm. But it's always interesting to see when one of those dudes catches you off guard and gets involved in something. You're like, oh, he still got it, or she still got it. And you're like, wow. Yeah. And it's shocking.
Let's see, so many agencies across this country are smaller agencies, you know, agencies like Chicago and New York and LA and some of these bigger agencies where you retire to an admin job. That's not even the norm. It's what you hear about a lot, but it's not even the norm. It's just, you know, you get to smaller agencies, there is nowhere to hide. Everybody has to work. Yeah. And it's the department I'm with now. Like I said, everybody's got usually some kind of a specialty detail. I mean, we got guys on the Violent Fugitive Task Force for the marshals that are out, you know, 3, 4, 5 days a week going, kicking doors and having a damn good time. If there was a detail I could have worked besides dope, that would have been it.
Oh yeah.
VICAP, Violent Criminal Apprehension, man.
Yep.
Oof. So I think maybe I watched Justified one too many times. I'm not sure.
It's a damn good show.
It is a damn good show. Oh,
coming back.
Anyway. Yeah, I'm excited.
Oh, is it really?
Oh yeah, they're bringing it back. Like it's not going to be the same show. It'll be the same character, but in a different setting.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it'd be really cool. But you know, this isn't TV talk. So you changed agencies. Yeah. That's all right. So you were a teacher, and then you went on to the sheriff's department, and now you work for a local police agency of about 28.
Yep.
And what do you like it better?
Yes and no. Right. Yes and no. The hours are great. Every other weekend off. I mean, I would run the county. So in the county, we had about 530 square miles of coverage, right? And we would run it with 3 or 4 guys.
Wow.
You know, sometimes your backup was,
20 minutes away, code 3.
Oh yeah. I've been lights the whole way across the county and, 45 minutes, 50 minutes. And you're like, I'm exhausted by the time you get there. That's a long time.
Yeah.
But, so now, like I said, we're 28 guys. I've had as many as seven patrol officers with me on shift for 6 square miles. So we're tripping over each other. But it's a really good community. Everybody waves at you, like we were saying, with all five fingers. It's a good place. Now I do miss the action. The shit shows of being by yourself in the trailer park when it hits the fan, or
they always tell you never make an arrest by yourself, but when you're a deputy out in BFE,
oh yeah,
there is nobody else, man.
Yep.
I'm hoping. Oh yeah,
I've taken two people to jail from this, two different incidents from the same house. They're in a domestic fighting in the back seat through the divider. I'm like, well, we got what we got.
Yeah. Wow. At some point you're like, should I take one and put him in the front, or is that like, should I let him fight it out?
I need to spin my camera so they can see both people back there.
No joke. I'm not sure if I brought this up on the show, but I want to have this guy on as a guest. He's a deputy that's just west of me in the state to the west, Washington. And he's a deputy, a county mounting, and their agency, their county sheriff's department, I think he said was 14 total.
Oh, damn.
And he said that at one point, he was on call, but he was helping his buddy pour some concrete on a home project. And he gets the call that he has to go handle a domestic. And so he didn't even have a gun with him because he was doing construction work. So he borrows his buddy's 357, jumps in the cement truck, and rolls to the domestic by himself.
Oh, yeah, that would be pretty. You're not making any good time in a cement truck.
No. So I mean, that's what it is. Do what you got to do the job.
Yep.
So that's I like to bring those things up for all the guys that are out there working for rural agencies or little, and they hear our episodes with, interviewing guys from big agencies or been in the military, deployed overseas, and they're feeling like, man, here I am just pushing a black and white out and, podunk, whatever. And, I don't say, no, it's good. It can happen there just as easily.
Yeah.
Shit kicks
that's
off
damn straight.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
They're still doing the Lord's work. They're just doing it with a lot less streetlights.
Yeah. Yes.
That's one of the hardest things to get to. Like, you responded to calls at night and there's no streetlights, and you're trying to read addresses and trying to read street signs and shit like that.
Everybody's house gets spotlighted.
Oh yeah.
Everyone.
Yeah.
So. Yep. Or you get the old, the Amish buggy crash. Somebody ACDA is a back of a horse and buggy, and you're like, son of a bitch again.
You have Amish?
That
Amish
I've never had.
Yeah.
That I've never had.
They're superhuman. I've never had one get injured.
Wow. Really?
Now,
did they race?
I've never had one race, but I did. My last one I had was a 14 and 15-year-old kid, because they can start driving a lot earlier when it's the buggy. But 14, 15-year-old kid got smoked by there was a 1-ton dolly pickup. 60 mile an hour, launched him into the woods. Horse got thrown down the street. Kids came out, they had some dirt and a couple scratches.
No shit.
I'm like, you just got thrown 30 feet. How did?
Well, they've been churning butter and raising barns since they were 2.
Yeah.
It's like, that's a different. That's you're raising tough stock there.
Yeah. It's tough for the crash reports because you can't get a make and model for the buggy. It doesn't want to take it.
Make and model Ezekiel 1.
Yeah. The odor coder.
This is a Malachi 400.
Yeah. It's.
Now, who's typically at fault? Is it usually the vehicles, or is it, because I was surprised. Okay. Because I was surprised to find out when I came on the job that when motorcyclists or bicyclists are involved in crashes, that 80% of the time it's their fault. Mm-hmm. And so I was curious to see if when you get horse and buggies, was it one of those shocking things where you're like, nah, it's usually the horse and buggy's fault.
Well, I guess my experience, I can give you mine. If it's an adult, run them through field sobriety, because chances are they're drunk.
Oh shit.
Oh wow.
Yeah. They can drink.
Wow.
They have no problem getting behind the horse. You got to call a vet and everything to have the buggy taken back, and it's a mess.
How do you take their license to drive a horse?
They just end up going to court, and it's usually a failure to appear.
Right.
The next time they get in a crash, they get to go to jail for a couple nights.
Yeah.
It's
and
so
see,
wild.
I was talking to a dude who lived in a very rural area of Los Angeles. Chuck, Foothill Division, right? And how rural some of Foothill Division is. And they still had, this was probably 25 years ago. And he was talking to another buddy of mine who lived in North LA County, and they were talking about how what they would do is they would ride their horses because they had horse property. So they'd ride their horses down to the local bar and get shit-faced drunk, then climb onto the horse sideways, slap the horse's ass, and the horse knew its way home. So the horse would just walk home, and they'd be passed out drunk on the horse. And then the horse would get into get to the house. They'd wake up and go crawl into bed.
Yeah, there'd be a handful of times where we had the buggy would show up and we'd get a phone call. Hey, so and so's missing. The buggy came home and they're not in it.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
They drink like moonshine and shit, or like
that's whatever they can get a hold of. I've never met one that was picky.
Any port in the store.
Wow.
They're like sailors that way.
Yeah.
Yes.
It seems like there'd probably be a lot of alcoholics in the Amish community just for the simple fact that that's their pastime. This is drinking. There's not much else to
That's
do.
it. We
No
just had it on
electronics?
our local news this morning. The county next to us, somebody just got tagged. He was driving in the oncoming traffic at, late
With a
hours of
horse?
the night. Yeah. Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, man.
That's hilarious.
Well, that's that. I have literally, you're the first cop I've ever talked to who actually has to work in Amish country. And that's awesome because now I have so many questions and I'm getting them all answered.
Hey,
They have rum springing?
Rumspringa.
A real
Yeah.
thing?
Yeah.
It's a real thing.
It is. I want to say it was on A&E or ETV, one of
Amish
the,
Mafia.
that was right next to us. That was the county next to us.
Was it really?
Yeah, it really was.
Oh, that's awesome.
Really was.
That was a bunch of horse shit, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that show's so fake. They're
Yeah.
all fake.
Yeah.
All reality TV is fake.
But there was the one with Vanilla Ice when he
Okay.
went.
Oh,
Amish.
yeah. Where he went,
Yeah.
Ice Goes Amish or whatever.
Yeah. We
Yeah.
actually, I passed him on the road when he was with the whole camera crew and in the buggy.
Did you give
I'm
him a
like,
word to
was
his
that-
mother?
Well, I'm like, was that Vanilla Ice? My wife's like, I think it was. We're
Right.
checking the rear view. I'm like, oh, we got to spin around. So pulled the old 3-point, went back. I'm like, hot damn, that actually was.
Wow.
That's awesome. Was he in a horse and buggy?
Yeah, sure was. Sure was.
That's
The tattoos are what gave it away. I'm like,
That's right.
They don't usually have those.
No.
Rolling in his
That's
1.0.
wild.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
So, well, we
Yeah.
appreciate you coming on, and I can only imagine the kind of stories you're going to have from working in Amish country. But I'm guessing this has nothing to do with the Amish.
Oh, so I reached out when you guys had the jail episode. You were looking for people in corrections. I'm like, oh, that's the area, I guess, that our jail is in for the county is we're always rated top 5 every year for most dangerous city in the world or in the United States for under 100,000 people. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Really?
We get shootings. Oh, yeah. Yeah. We have shootings all the time. That was my first call I ever handled as a cop was a armed bank robbery.
No fucking way.
I remember jamming rounds down into my mag still, and my FTO is hauling ass to the
Wow.
bank that just got held up. Yeah,
God damn. But my first call was a rape.
I mean,
yeah,
I'll take the armed robbery over the rape. Let's be
I
honest.
guess-
take that.
100%, 100%.
Fuck.
But yeah. So the jail itself, we had tons of gangbangers that would come in and out. We would hold for a lot of bigger sheriff's offices up north of us. We're not too far from Cleveland.
I was about to
But,
say Cleveland's got a bunch of assholes.
Yeah, I heard
Oh.
your accent, and you said
Yeah.
Amish country, and I'm like, okay, this is Ohio or southeastern Pennsylvania, like
I grew up in Southeast PA.
Ohio.
Yeah, yeah.
Water? Do you drink water?
Yeah. There's water. You got the R and Warsh.
Warsh.
My grandma
Yeah.
still
Mhm.
adds R's to stuff that
Wash
don't
your
definitely
clothes.
have R's. Yeah.
That's right.
But yeah, so the jail itself was that was something. That was one of those days, you hated to go to work every day, but you had a blast while you were there.
Oh,
It was good. It was good stuff. But I guess the jail itself, what everybody sees on TV and everything. It was built in the 50s, and that was the last time it was updated.
Oh my god!
Or at least the men's
cinder
side where I
block and
worked, so
steel.
damn straight.
Yeah,
Concrete
Black
floors,
mold.
cinder block walls, and
yeah.
tons of that. Asbestos, everything that's fun.
Ooh.
That reminds
Yeah.
me of my barracks when I was in the Marine Corps.
The food might have been
No
better.
shit. Fucking cinder blocks.
Yeah.
Cinder blocks, coffin racks, black mold, fucking mildew.
I mean, let's face it. The only difference between being in the military and being in prison are the work details are a hell of a lot cooler in the military.
Yeah,
Depends.
I can imagine.
That's true.
Oh.
But yeah. So I guess what made me think about it was again, put it in perspective. Old 50s style. What you see on TV for jail. I predominantly worked the mental health unit, which was
Oh God.
an event in itself. But
Voluntarily?
my partner, yeah,
Okay.
it was a good time. It was a lot of
I guess
paperwork. It was a
I guess
good time.
dealing with the nutters might be a little bit better sometimes because at least they're funny.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You got a joke out of it. You didn't have the the fights. You didn't have. I mean, you would every once in a while somebody stole my soup. You'd be like,
What?
it's sitting on your bed.
Yeah.
Just
Right.
like that kind of stuff. But we didn't.
And you don't
the,
have
I
to
guess,
deal with kitty rapers and shit like that.
Yeah. Now what we did have was we had what we called the butt naked cell. So you came in, wanted to kill somebody, kill yourself, or you were psychologically unstable. We got
Mhm.
to take your clothes and put you in the turtle suit. So it
Oh, shit.
handful of those cells. But we had it's where the young kids, the gangbangers are at. They're single cell, catwalk style. They're able to come out. They have a small day room. It's maybe 10 feet wide, 30 feet long. They can, play cards and do whatever. And during the day, next to that was what we called a day room. It was like more of your dormitory style, dozen racks, top bottom. And we had he was a real shitbag. He did some prison time for rape, coincidentally. And while in prison, lost use of his legs and got out. I think it was 18 years or so. Got out. They put him in it was like I guess more of like a nursing home in the transition back into the world. And while he was there, he raped about four the elderly incapacitated females. So obviously he got to rejoin us fairly quickly. But
Wait, after he lost the use of his legs?
yes, yeah, he was using objects and fingers and that kind of stuff.
Okay.
The foreign object
Yeah.
digital penetration type of
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah, he was
Oof.
a real piece of shit.
See,
Jesus.
you can't fix fucking crazy, man. You can give it a
No.
court date, but you can't fix it. And taking this guy's legs didn't deter his perversions and his
Nope.
he was shithead's gonna
Nope.
shithead, man.
Yep. So when he came back to us, he was in a hospital bed, obviously, because they can't have wheelchairs and stuff in there because of the spokes and stuff that they can break off and stick in people's necks. But so he's in a hospital bed, basically one of the ones that recline up and down. He realized that he was going to prison for the rest of his life and he was going to die there. And he started playing the crazy card, praise Jesus every time you walk by, wanted to pray for everybody, that kind of shit. And finally, they sent him out for a mental eval. Did a 2-week at the local mental institute, and sent him back. Said, "Nah, he's fine. He's competent to stand trial." So he still plays the game. He has a colostomy bag because he can't use his bottom
Knew it.
half. Yeah,
Fucking knew
right?
it, dude.
Yeah,
This is
Yeah.
getting
real
shitty.
yeah,
Yeah, really.
It does. He
I
was
just-
a shitbag, no pun
Okay, we
intended.
got to take bets from this point forward. Listeners, start your clock and start betting on how long it takes for Chuck to start gagging.
And that's I'll be honest with you. The last time you started gagging was what made me think of this one. Yeah, so
I can
we're,
still smell the colostomy bag right now.
Oh yeah.
very distinct smell.
Oh yeah.
Oof. Oof.
But so he's in there, refuses to bathe, doesn't take care of himself, no hygiene, that kind of shit. So that the nursing staff has to come in and basically sponge bathe him while he's strapped to the bed. And bed sores since he's been, laying down for months on end at this point. So they're cleaning him up, and one day he decides to take a bite at one of the nurses. Right, so nurse ends up getting a chunk taken out of their arm.
Oh,
My buddy's in there who works
Oh.
for a different police department now down in the Carolinas, but so he's in there. He kind of looks like, reminds me of Charlie Sheen from Major League, like
all
kind of
right.
thin,
Wild
dark, yeah, like big, thick, black rim glasses, just not very fast at anything. But he will
Tough as
he's a
shit, but
black belt in jiu-jitsu, but he's just
Yeah.
not everything
Box
he
of
does
rocks.
is in slow motion. Yeah.
right.
And so he's in there. He ends up grabbing the guy, pulling his head back, and call it, let me get an additional unit. We got a combative asshole basically in here. So
We got a biter.
yeah, pretty much. So being that the mental health unit was the next unit over, I'm like, shit, I'm finishing up around. I got this. I'm on my way. I come over. As I'm coming over, he's getting this spit mask, and he's getting it over his head because now he's starting to spit. Right. So I'm breaking through the door. Spit mask is going on. This guy, he gets his arm out of the softer strain at this point. He's starting to try to hit my buddy from behind, realizes he's not getting to him. So the first thing he does is he grabs that shit bag that was just overflowing as is. And he's twirling that thing like a towel over his head. There's just shit. It's like a shit fan, right? It's like a sprinkler. This shit, it's, just everywhere.
A
And
doo-doo sprinkler.
It was.
It's not a rain bird. It's a shit bird. Really, this time.
Yeah, and it was not a good consistency either. It was, it was enough to splat when it hit stuff. So he's
There it
spraying
is.
around.
Chuck's sweating.
So my buddy ends up taking one in the forehead, and it's, he's pissed. He's somebody get
As
in here
one would be.
Right, grab this fucking guy. No, I'm like, well, I got an idea. I pulled my spray out. I'm like, this is my time to shine. From about 20
dude.
yeah.
OC spray in a closed fucking
No.
Oh
area. Yeah, do it.
Were you
Awesome
new?
idea.
no.
Oh,
Our problem, we used to screw with each other, and we'd like spray each other's trash can and shit when
yeah.
nobody was around.
Sure.
So you
Of
got real
course,
used to the
yeah.
spray pretty quick.
Oh, okay.
So I'm like, I'm a sharpshooter with this shit. 25 feet away, arc the can, press the button. It couldn't have been any more direct on this guy's like brow line. Like it would have been like America's Next Top Shot with spray. But what we didn't know is the spit mask is like a damn trampoline. So not only does my buddy now have shit running down into his eyes, but the spray ricocheted off this mask and hit him. Couldn't have been any more perfect in the eyeballs. Right. So now he's got spray, he's got shit, and this guy's still flinging poo around. So long story, I guess, shortened. The guy ends up falling out of bed, and we end up having to lift him back in while we're now all covered in shit because he was rolling around trying to get away from us. And it was like a snail. He was trying to crawl to the other side of the room to get out,
Dude.
and leaving the brown streak of speed behind him. And so we get him in.
And
get him
leg
strapped
strikes
down.
ain't gonna do nothing.
No, it's, he would literally, like, when you'd put him in a wheelchair, he'd throw his feet, like slop him over the edge of the wheelchair, and you'd run him over, and you'd get to wherever you were going, and you'd have, busted toes like grapes. You're like, oh, well, I guess we're going to stop by the meds on the way back. But,
Oh my god.
yeah, so I guess we get this guy back into bed. My buddy's been suffering now through this OC for probably about 30, 40 seconds. And it now is why he wears the glasses, because he had his contacts in.
Oh,
So between the spray and the poo, we got to take a trip down to the local ER to get everything removed from his eyeballs.
yeah, pink eye.
So fucking
He
gross.
was, it got real fucked.
Oh my god. Dude.
Yeah, so
Oh,
yeah, he was a
fucking
poo flinging
hepatitis of the
paraplegic.
eyeballs.
Yeah, it
A
was
pooaplegic, man.
yeah. So he was. Oh, there goes my camera.
That's it.
Yeah, so he ended up having to get his contacts removed from his eyeballs because they fused to his eyes a little bit.
Oh,
So now he wears the Charlie Sheen black, deep dark black rim glasses when he's on patrol.
I hope he
I
puts
get
the
fucking-
little skull and crossbones
The
on it too.
Oh, it's yeah. He would tape it every once in a while,
That's awesome.
and he'd walk around, slide them back up his face, and give you that real like, I don't know what state I'm in look.
Right.
And then, he was a good dude. Still is a good dude, but yeah, he's one of those. He's very
he's just a good dude in South Carolina or in the
Yeah,
Carolinas.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right, North Carolina. Yeah, he's yeah.
Man,
That
My
was-
God.
I miss those.
That was one of them.
I got to see stuff in the jail because I take people to jail, and because it's the jail, you take
Yeah.
somebody to book them, and 50-50 chance that something's going off.
Oh
Right?
yeah,
Yeah. And if
Yeah,
it's not
all of our
going off, you can
strange-
count on them telling you a story about how it was going off 5 minutes ago.
oh yeah. All of the I worked. So it was about a year in the mental health ward, and then I did about 6 months in receiving. So when you came in the jail, you got to see me. We had a guy. All the computers are now bolted down to the desks. My dude Chuck Norris roundhouse kicked this monitor so effortlessly and so athletically. That bitch blew into about 3,000 pieces when it hit the wall.
Oh my God. This is a
So now,
suspect?
yeah. So,
Oh.
and everybody was pissed because we had to handwrite the all the arrests from there on out for the rest of the night because that was our booking computer. So everything
Oh, my
had to get
God.
hand jammed and sent down to the court, certified mail.
Now, be honest,
Wow.
you guys grade people's arrests and agencies, don't you?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you knew there were certain guys, as soon as you would see their car pull into the Sally Port, you'd be like, shit, here we get, just go get the CERT team lined up. Because you
Mm.
know somebody's going to fight.
Mm.
And it'd be, F5 possession back when they were still booking for it. And this guy would come in and be like, you're getting released in 3 hours. We're going to signature bond you. And
Yeah.
he decides, nope, fuck that. We're going to fight. And you're like, really? Like, is that really what you want to do? It's Friday night. Tonight's what you want to fight about?
Yeah.
He's like, well, I know if I fight, I get my housing area right away. I'm like, well, shit. Yeah, you don't have you're not wrong.
I mean, right.
Dude, we
But
used to
he would-
wheel we used to wheel combatives in. We would get our car and bring it in. Doors would close and we'd be like, you'd tell your partner, or I would go run in and be like, hey, talk to the watch commander. I need a fucking wheelchair.
Yeah.
Like one of the ones you can hook to the side. And I was like, I need
Mhm.
a wheelchair and I need a team of people. And they're like, what?
Yeah.
I'm like, what do you got? And I was like, dude, that motherfucker ain't coming out of the car. Like, I need this now. And then they'd wheel him out and he'd be like, all right, it's your guys' call. We're hands off now. They're like, no, you got to get him up. We don't want to get into a fight. No. We're at your
Yeah,
house.
Yeah,
You
he's
take
in the
him.
jail now. This is your problem.
Dude,
Yeah,
so many
that's-
times, like, yeah, God.
We had an intercom. You'd roll up to the jail to the Sally Port, and you'd hit the button. It was like trying to buzz into somebody's estate. But it was
Yeah,
buzzing
yep.
into the jail. Hit the button,
Yep.
and you'd always get some gal working the desk or maybe a deputy filling in, be like, "What you got?" And one male, one female, one this, one that, whatever.
Mhm.
But it was always amazing because when they were lippy and they were mouthy and they were yelling and screaming in the back, you just say, "I've got one male, he's combative," and then
Yeah.
that was all you had to say, because as
Yep.
soon as you pulled into the Sally Port and that door came down, the brute squad walked out, and it was four
That was
or
me.
five deputies that were all corn-fed, football playing, 6'4" no neck monsters.
Yeah.
And they were going to drag this guy out of the car by his short and curlies, whether he liked it or not.
Yep.
And what was amazing is how many people saw the brute squad and immediately came to Jesus and were like, "No, I'll,
Oh, yeah.
I'll get out. I'll get out.
Yeah.
It's cool."
Yep. Yeah. We called it was CERT, CERT for it was
Mhm.
correctional emergency response. So it was like SWAT for jail. Anytime somebody wouldn't cuff up or come out, and everybody knew, and it was, even the OG guys that were, 50s, 60s, you'd see, would walk down the hall and they'd be like, "Oh, somebody's about to get their ass beat
Mhm.
now." We didn't tack up unless somebody was catching an ass whipping on the other end.
Ooh, right. If we got to,
Yeah.
we're not getting dressed up for nothing.
No, it
Right.
takes me time to put this shit on. I'm
Right.
not taking it off for no reason.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
If we could have talked you out of it, we would have, but
Mhm.
clearly we can't. And you are committed to this course of action.
Yes.
So
Yes.
we are
Well,
have
like-
to oblige. Right.
Yes.
That's why I like going to the sheriff's jails.
Yeah.
Working a PD, the holding facilities. Like we had a jail, but it was only like holding facility, and they get transported to the county.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, a
every
little
time we got to
detention
go to
area.
county, it was fucking awesome. You walk in and you could tell if they're in a good mood or a bad mood because you walk in, you're like, oh fuck, someone's been sprayed. And then
Yeah.
you wheel them back or you walk them back and you're like, hey, I'm just warning you, we're going to be hands off from this point forward. Once they take control of you, that's on you.
Right.
And they're not in a good mood. You smell that? That's OC spray. They just did a cell
Mhm.
extraction and you see the fucking cell like all fucked up on the inside. And you're like,
Yeah.
so they're not in a good mood. And then there were so many times you'd be hands off, like, we got it from here. You guys can take off. We're like, okay. The
Yeah,
moment
you're in
you
their
walk out of
house
the
now.
first Sally port, you just hear fucking yelling, screaming. I'm like, oh fuck.
Yeah.
Get the
Not my
fuck
responsibility.
outta here, dude.
That's
Yeah.
it.
But then you
Get
can't see
that-
anything. You can only hear it. You're like, fuck, that's your house, dude. Whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You hear the loud ass boom and it wasn't the door. And you're like, oh, somebody hit the floor at a high rate of speed.
Mhm.
Dude.
They went up real high and came down real fast.
High speed collision with a stationary object.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You don't win any time of that.
No.
No.
That's like there came a point, and your legless rapist is a perfect example. Or I should say your poopoplegic.
Yes.
There came a point in society where we decided not to hang people.
Yeah.
And it's funny because the listeners of the locker room know I've been catching up on Westerns with my mother who's never, there's a lot of them she's never seen.
Yep.
And even going back to probably the early the early 20th century, like the 1900s, 1920, 1930, when you got sentenced to death, you were dead within a couple of weeks,
Oh yeah.
right? Like that was it. And even when they sentenced people to the gas chamber early on, it was like, no, we're going to send you up there and you're going to sit in a cell for a couple of weeks while we get everything ready for you. And then as soon as we're ready, you're dead.
Yeah. It's coming.
So, yeah. So and there's an old expression, justice delayed is justice denied. And I feel like when we
Yep.
try to take these people and say, well, there's good in everybody. He just needs to, like, rapists don't need a timeout. And that's what a
No.
jail sentence is.
Yeah. And and getting to see that side of it also. You got gangbangers that are in there that are, multiple homicides, and there ain't no fixing them, and is it right, wrong, and different, whatever. But until you try to get stabbed in the neck with a pencil, then you can have an opinion. They're just
Right.
They're in there. They know they're going to prison for the rest of their life. What are they going to do to get the most credit they can before they get out?
Right.
Stick a pencil in one of the guards' necks.
The hard labor boot camp, like breaking rocks, chain gang, like those kinds of rehabilitation sometimes work, right? Because it is so awful and so miserable. And but you also teach them, like, hey, you can, good behavior gets a good reward. Like, you have to rewire these people's brains. And unless you're able to show me how you're going to do that, how you're going to rewire this guy who was literally raised from a child that he has to kill anything he needs to kill to get money, to get food, to get power, to get his way. I hate to compare people to dogs, but sometimes animals are animals. And let's face it, people are animals.
Yep.
When your brain gets wired to be a biter, you're going to bite.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And couldn't have said any better. That was right on that. You just have people that are wired wrong.
Yeah.
And there ain't no fixing that.
Okay, maybe there are people out there that have programs that can rewire these people, but they haven't come forward yet, or they haven't.
No, I haven't heard of one.
Yeah, I mean, and I think it really does come down to the individual. It whatever that rock bottom, AA always talks about rock bottom. Cops always talk about the come to Jesus moment. It's different for everybody.
Yeah.
Like the traumatic event, whether it's a cop giving you a hug, because we've seen those videos, we've posted them, where some guys, like, looking at a cop and everybody's getting all jacked up, and the guy's like, man, I just don't know what to do with my life. My father was killed in front of me. My son, I've been shot a bunch of times, and he breaks down and starts crying. The cop gives him a hug, and then 20 years from then, he's writing a book and talking about how that changed his life, and now he is working for a company and owns a car detailing business. Like, those stories happen.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
But we can't predict who that's gonna be.
No, and if we could, we'd all be able to retire.
Oh my God! If I could, if I could predict that, I'd be a millionaire.
I've only seen a handful of dudes who were career criminals, career assholes that changed their life, and one of them was a fucking he was a biker, and I didn't know him when he was an asshole. He came to the station one day. You could tell, you're like, oh, this guy's he looks like an asshole because he had all the fucking old like gang tattoos, biker tattoos. And he was a real nice guy, and he was like, hey, I know I look this way, but I'm telling you, like, he explained his whole past, his whole story. And he's like, I found Jesus and I went to prison and got right. And he talks about some cop who helped him, and he was like, now I'm on the straight and narrow. And he really was. And he had a good job. He had a good career. And I was like, holy shit. Wow. Like, man, it gives me some hope for humanity, but it's so far and few between.
Yeah. And it's even on the road now, it's, you help everybody you can, hoping that, if you take 1,000 people to jail, one of them comes out like that.
Right.
Yeah.
But in, I guess the retrospect side of it, is it? We don't know, and if you do, you probably don't hear about it too often.
No, if ever. And you part of it is like trying to, wonder, you get 20 years of that and you feel like you're bailing out the Titanic with the Dixie cup.
Yeah.
And yet at the same time, because you don't know how many people you helped, you do have to hold on to that. Did I make a difference one time, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
But it's carrying all that with you, and just that 80-20 rule of feeling like the world is populated by nothing but assholes. It takes a toll.
Oh, it does. It does. And it's even this new department. I guess not new. I've been there for about 2 years, but the department I'm with now, I did a very brief training spell with them before I got cut back loose on my own. And it was maybe 3-4 weeks after being there. Guy comes up, shooting fireworks off. They're illegal. Okay. Hey, bud, I'm going to make another lap. Take these things, go inside. I'm not trying to ruin your night. It's late in the shift. I'm going home. You need to go back inside. He's like, all right, cool. I do a lap around the block, come back, and Roman candle right off my windshield. Thunk, poof. I'm like, you son of a bitch. Yeah.
Now you're just being an asshole.
Yeah. I'm like, you motherfucker. Here we go. I slam the car and park. Come here. And he comes up and get your hands out of your pockets. Hands out of your pockets. Hands out of your. He gets close enough, still in his pockets. He met the ground at a pretty high rate of speed. And my partner makes the corner, who's now our sergeant. He's like, what the fuck happened? He goes, we had a fireworks call. Next thing I know, I see a guy's feet where his head was supposed to be. I'm like, well, he was being a fucking asshole. And we had to fight with him, get him in cuffs, throw him in the car. My back seat looked like a damn homicide scene from the blacktop, and his face and his hands and my hands. And we get about, I don't know, 10 minutes down the road. And he's like, you know what, man? I'm sorry. I'm like, hey, it's all right. You did what you had to do. I did what I had to do. He's like, no, you don't understand. I told my girlfriend I was going to jail today, and I didn't want to look like a bitch.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
He already made his mind up. He's like,
yeah,
coming back.
We could have done this a lot easier. I'm like, all you had to do was tell me. I'm sure we could have figured something out.
Yeah. I could have taken you to jail for the fireworks.
Right. You could have kept your
even like, man,
your face
can you just take me in real quick for a little bit?
Yeah.
Save me a lot of paperwork.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah, because now I got to use the force. I got to decoy my car. Yeah, no. I'm like, all you had to do was tell me, man. We could have made something work.
The average person doesn't understand that those people exist.
Right.
They don't. Yeah. They don't realize, like, there are people who, you go back to Batman. I'm a comic book guy. And you talk about the Joker, and they say some people just want to watch the world burn, right? And
Right.
that's not like allegory. That's not an exaggeration. That's not hyperbole. That's legit. Like there are people that are just this guy, I'm gonna go to jail. And then once he says it out loud, not only is it like, oh, he's thinking, oh shit, I don't want to go to jail. I shouldn't have said that, but now I have to go to jail because I don't want to look like a bitch.
Right.
That mentality is foreign to a lot of people.
Yeah.
And they don't believe it exists. They're, oh, well, no, people aren't really like that. Bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We were looking the other day. We were going through some of the top guys ever booked in our jail. And I want to say the guy that holds the record, as I put in quotes, was 104 times.
Wow.
You know, that's a shit ton of times coming in and out of jail. And he was in his 40s when he died. You know, so from 18 to 40 to what, 22 years, 104 times.
Right.
My man spent more time locked up than he did on the street. And you'd talk to him in jail, nicest guy in the world. You know, hey, yeah, I had a bad weekend and ended up in here. Like, you're good, man. No worries.
Anybody ever tell you have a serious impulse control problem?
Right. And then you see him on the street and he's, you know, sloppy and hammered and high and, you know, fuck you, man. You're like, what?
Yeah.
I literally,
But
we
you know
were
what?
talking yesterday. You were fine.
That's true too, because some people can't handle their own lives. Like,
yeah,
that's what the military does for so many young men who they get at, you know, 18 years old, they're unleashed on the world. They literally can't handle their own lives, and women too. But you know, you can't handle your own life. So the military beats into you the tools you need to start to begin to handle your own life. And then some people, they can't handle that and they get out, and then they, you know, like I said, you get out of the military, like there's a 50-50 chance you're going to be a cop or a crook, you know?
Yeah. That's very plausible. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we've talked, and it's nothing personal. It's more like there's a combination of nature and nurture that, again, we haven't unlocked yet. Some people are wired that way. Some people are, you know, my kids, my two kids are both wired very, very differently. And if you don't recognize what works with one doesn't work with the other, you're going to be hurt. And so will they.
Yeah. That's, yeah. I have my dog walk down. He's, you guys were talking about, it was the locker room on the, you know, animals to be killed by. He's a wolf.
Oh, nice.
He's a 130-pound cat.
Yeah.
You know, the most docile animal ever. But his brother, who my buddy owns, is completely different. He's and it's, you know, they're animals, but it's the same. I'm like, it's, as you said,
he's wired a certain way.
Yeah, he's like, I'm here. If you want to pet me, you can. If you want to leave me alone, that'd be great. Yeah. His brother's like, stay the fuck away from me.
Right.
Don't come near me. I'm gonna go eat this shit. And,
yeah. There's an experiment or a program in Russia where they bred animals, and all they did was bred against aggression, right? And they were breeding foxes, and they bred them, like they only bred the ones that when they reached, if the animal cowered from them when they reached into the cage, when it was a pup, if it cowered or it hissed or it scratched or it showed anything that was a negative reaction to a human interaction, they put it over to a different area and then just kept it for whatever. But they didn't breed it. And the only ones they would breed were the animals that had a mild, you know, interaction with humans, no aggression, no fear response. And you know what's crazy is within like 3 or 4 generations, their actual physical characteristics started to change. Their tails got curly, their ears got floppy. So just the breeding against aggression. And again, this could be human beings or animals, because we're all made up of the same, it's DNA, it's genetic coding, right? So some people breed for aggression. There are tons of cultures out there where the more aggressive a man is, the more attractive he is to breed with.
Yeah, that's like the hood dogs.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Also, food plays a big role into that too.
Huge. Yeah.
Mhm.
You know, high estrogen foods that cause high fat and stuff like that increases more in estrogen to the body, which actually reduces testosterone and softens your features. You know, the jawline starts to soften and around, and you start getting more fluffy, and your anger starts to go down. And next thing you know, you have a bunch of what they've called it soy boys running around that cry when the wind hits them wrong. And that's just because they have so much fucking estrogen and their body's so imbalanced, and a lot of it's food. There's been numerous cultures that have, you've seen that where they're introduced different foods that weren't native or had a lot of, additives and GMOs and stuff, and they changed their whole personalities after generations. And you're just like, what the fuck? Kind of like our ancestors.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, everything's a cycle.
What's crazy is that your paraplegic that had the colostomy bag was an asshole. I have not met one suspect. Yeah, I've not met one suspect or person that's been arrested or in the hospital that is quote unquote asshole that has been a paraplegic on colostomy bag that isn't a dick.
Yeah,
they're all ass. They're all assholes.
Yeah,
I would think that. Okay, so you got a couple of factors going there, and I'm going to hazard a guess. I'm going to say, number one, if they're a suspect of anything, they're halfway to being a problem child, first of all. Then if they're already a problem child, you add the anger and resentment and depression that comes from being a paraplegic with a fucking colostomy bag, and they just turn into a giant fucking dick.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they do have more assholes than the rest of us.
Right.
You do.
That's
one in the stomach, one in the butt.
Yeah.
We had one that had the use of his legs, and he was a person of interest of a call we had, and I hook him up, go to search him, and he's like, what is that? He goes, that's shit. And I was like, shit? What do you mean shit? He goes, that's my shit bag. And I went, and I was like, well, I gotta make sure it's clean or whatever. And I fucking lifted that thing up. Oh my God. It was overflowing. He had an infection. I was like,
because that shit just backs up.
I was like, God damn, I gotta finish this.
I wouldn't have been able to resist. I'd have been like, I thought you were the shit bag.
Dude,
oh yeah.
It was
you leave so many open lines for that.
That's right.
I was trying not to gag. I finished my search and I was like, dude, we're going to jail. Like, this is bad. No. Yeah. And then we had one who was swinging his shit around, ripped his bag out of his stomach in the hospital. And the hospital calls PD, and they're telling PD, hey, you need to get this guy out of here. And I'm like, he's in the hospital. What do you mean?
Yeah.
Well, he doesn't want to submit to a COVID test. And I'm like, okay, but he's here and he's injured, right? Like, yeah. I was like, just give it to him. They're like, we can't. It's battery. And I'm like, okay. Like, you have to take him. I said, no, the fuck I don't. I said, You're telling me I have to rip him out? No, he has to refuse medical treatment, and then I can take him and escort him off the property. I said, but he has to refuse medical treatment. And he's like, I'm not refusing medical treatment. I want medical treatment. I want to be fixed. I'm fucking having an injury. I want to be fixed. And they're like, we have to get a coach. It's like, you're not fucking swabbing me. No, fuck you. And this dude got so angry. He was 50-on-50 like a motherfucker. Thought he knew like some famous like athlete, like what was it, Kobe? I think he was nice. Yeah, I'm friends with Kobe. And we're like, yeah, what the fuck?
Was this after the crash?
No, you're not. No, it was before.
Oh.
No, it was after.
It was after the crash. No, like, if you don't settle down, you're gonna be friends with him in a couple seconds.
Well, because that's one thing. I was like, shake his hand. He's like, yeah, I'm going to his house. I'm like, he's dead, right? Like, so he was off. But man, they were trying to like pawn him off on us. I was like, like no, he has to sign like an AMA or something. We cannot just escort him out when he's requesting medical treatment. I know you want us to. I was like, but we could get fired for that. Like, no, we're not going to do that. Long story short, we had to just walk away. I was like, unless he hits one of you, like you have to treat him. So
there's nothing you're going to say that's going to cause us to violate his rights. Yeah. Oh yeah. He knows the system.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah. I want the attention. I just don't want that.
Yeah.
Right.
What's going to keep me out of jail?
Well, CJ, we appreciate you coming on. It's always
Yep.
fun to see where these conversations go, because we started talking about a paraplegic with the rapist with a colostomy bag, and we ended up talking about how people are just fucking wired wrong. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah,
so
that's true.
But we as you know, we always give our listeners a chance, and today is going to be a bit of a double dedication. But we wanted to give you your dedication first. So, who did you want to dedicate your episode to?
It'd be Patrolman Joseph Amable from a local PD, passed away actually on Wednesday.
Oh,
It wasn't a in line of duty, but it's been suspected at this point. It's related to a crash from line of duty from several years prior. But
which, as far as I'm concerned, is still line of duty.
yeah, it's had 10 plus years on. Leaves behind a wife and 2 young children, and just a genuinely good dude. Like every time you saw him, he just one of the guys that put a smile on your face. And I didn't work direct. He was with a local department, but when I was with the county, he was a backup car more times than not. So it was one of the tough ones that just came out of nowhere and unexpected, and he's going to be missed.
Rest easy, brother. We've got it from here, Chuck. We also wanted to make sure we included this one.
Yeah, so this is Aaron Salter. He was the recently retired police officer killed in the Buffalo mass shooting. He was a security guard at the supermarket. Aaron Salter's time as a supermarket security guard proved more deadly than his decades on both Buffalo police force when he chased down both gunmen and arsonists. He was described by Buffalo Police Chief Joseph Gramaglia as a hero in our eyes. Salter is credited with confronting and shooting the assailant at the Tops supermarket on Jefferson Avenue before being shot to death on Saturday. There is a bunch more on here. It's on Police One, but he was the retired cop who confronted the suspect and put some rounds downrange. But due to the fact that the suspect was wearing body armor, he was unable to penetrate that body armor with his weapon and was subsequently shot to death. So this one goes out to him and all the other victims, totaling 10. And very horrible thing.
Yeah, and I want to take the chance
nasty.
to include a public service announcement to all our sheepdogs out there. If you're carrying, right? If you're armed, if you're working an off-duty assignment, if you're in a supermarket, whatever. If you decide to put yourself on duty and take action like that, kudos to you. You're a fucking hero and good for you. But just remember, like, your training is your training. We're taught to shoot center mass. It's the biggest target, right? So many of these assholes are now doing these fucking terrorist attacks with body armor on.
Oh yeah.
Go back to the North Hollywood shootout. You can start to think, okay, if I see an asshole with a gun in an active shooter scenario wearing tactical gear, it's headshot time. You start playing these. If you're going to carry and you think that you might be the guy that would put yourself on duty the way this sheepdog did, that's cool. Now do the extra work. And the extra work is go to the range, do some training, practice the headshots, practice your precision shooting, and then think over and over and over and over about these scenarios, about when you're in these places. Think, if a guy comes in and I see a rifle and he's an active shooter, headshot, I'm gonna look for the eyes, practice shooting that, the triangle, across the brow down to the tip of the nose. Make sure you put the time and effort in, because unfortunately this guy put rounds down range and was able to strike the suspect, but they were ineffective because the suspect was wearing body armor and potentially had 30 years of police work not just ingrained in him. You shoot for center mass. He didn't even have the chance to reassess and go for a headshot before he was killed. So sometimes there's not going to be time to reassess. You need to just take the headshot.
And they said because of his actions, because of Aaron Salter's actions, he did save lives and lost his own. So, I mean, even though he was unsuccessful with putting suspect down. He no doubt, hands down, saved lives that day, because it wasn't for him, more people would have perished in that hate-filled crime. To me, it's an act of terrorism. It's horrible. Domestic terrorism. And if he wasn't there, more people would have perished. So, for Aaron Salter, rest easy, brother. We have it from here. I mean, It's just a horrible, horrible thing. And as we're getting ready to close out, a few words from the sponsorship. I want to say thanks, CJ, for coming on. And then thank you all for listening today. If you like today's podcast, please go follow us on our Instagram at @war_stories_official and our Facebook at War Stories Podcast. If you already follow us, share our posts and our information. You can also go to the link in our bio on Instagram and Facebook to reach all of our social, our media, and our website. Our podcast is on all major podcast streaming platforms, as well as on YouTube. If you want to support us, please go to our website at www.warstoriesofficial.com. Grab some gear. We still have some movie hoodies, shirts, patches, and stickers left. We'll be doing some spring and summer gear as well when things calm down over here. So if you want to be featured on our show, this is a big, big thing. If you want to be featured on our show and you think you have a story or you want to share your story, please go to booking.warstories@gmail.com. Again, that's booking.warstories@gmail.com, and send me your story and I can get you booked. We are looking for law enforcement, corrections, dispatchers, fire, medics, and veterans. If you have a friend who you think would be a great fit, let them know about us and give them our booking email. And I want to say this one thing, because we haven't really had too many dispatchers come on. And I know that they deal with a lot of stress, and it's a very high stressful job. We would love to have some dispatchers come on and share their stories and their tense calls, and maybe the closure that they got or the stuff that they struggled through and how they got through that. Because I know there's so many dispatchers out there that have struggled. I've heard it on the radios, and they struggle sometimes dealing with some of these calls. So it'd be great to have some of you guys come on and share your stories and how you got through it to help your fellow brothers and sisters out. That'd be great. And then for all of you, thank you for the support. Stay safe.
Yeah. So CJ, once again, thanks a lot. Do you have anything you want to add at the end?
I appreciate you guys having me.
Oh, no, of course. We're glad to have you.
Big fan. I watch or listen to both shows. I keep my head on straight while I'm driving around in circles and start my patrol. That's part of my daily routine when I start. So I look forward to every day when you guys drop them.
We appreciate that, man, because that's why I try to drop them for the graveyard guys. So because they're out there, watching the sunrise. So hopefully they get a little entertainment to keep them awake at 2:00 in the morning when the episode drops. Yeah. So we appreciate you guys all listening. So until our next episode, come home with your shield or on it.